It's time for The Scraphouse with Austen Lane and Kasey Kuhrts on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network.
Going on, but we're in. I think it's working. Austen Lane, are you there? Can you hear me?
I am there, Kasey. Can you hear me?
I can. What a debacle, but shout out to Cesnick for answering the phone right away. Forgot we had never used Ninja on these fancy little scenes, so we had to get it rolling. You asked me how your video's doing. I have no clue. I was prepared with UFC Austen, as you can see on the screen.
Yeah.
I also was prepared with Vegas Austen.
I mean, different strokes for different folks, right? Like, I prefer the UFC Austen, showing off the abs a little bit and everything. There was a reason why I didn't put my shirt back on after that fight, because I felt like, damn, my abs are popping right now. Might as well, give the national audience what they want. But Marcel Robinson did a good job, too, of that little Photoshop right there. I'm not mad at that coat, especially for Vegas. So that might be getting added to the repertoire as well. If I can find a coat like that.
Yeah, that's fair. It's good looks. I guess we'll stick with UFC Austen, which I guess technically is also Vegas Austen, right? Because this was in Vegas.
True. Yeah, that was in Vegas, and the gentleman behind me in the red shirt was like 17 years old in that picture, which is crazy.
How about that?
So he's actually, I saw him 2 days ago. He's fighting on the UFC Noche card. So I saw him at the PI, just kind of said what's up and everything. Yeah, because when that was taken, I think I was 35, and I want to say he was 17 or 18. So like he was like the youngest dude to ever win a contract, and here I am like twice his age. So really puts it all in perspective, Kasey.
That is pretty wild. It's also got to be somewhat uncommon that you both got the contract and are both still in the UFC, and you just happen to be in that picture. You know what I mean? Like
dude. It's extremely wild for sure. And like we even said that too. He's like, "You doing all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm doing good." I'm like, "You're doing your damn thing." So it's cool seeing him. I mean, you see a lot of fighters around here. Obviously, I mean, the PI is kind of like the central hub for MMA fighters around here. So yeah, I've seen a lot of people, have gotten a lot of great work in, and obviously just getting ready for my fight October 19th.
I like it. That's why you're out in Vegas. We're going to try to put this thing together after a slight debacle to start, but, it wouldn't really be the Scraphouse with Austen and Kasey if something didn't go wrong right off the rip.
Without a doubt, man.
Here we are, and we're going to make it happen for the next hour on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. We're talking not UFC, we're talking wrestling, and I guess we'll just get into it. Bash in Berlin did not go live.
Well, hang on, Kasey. Did you kind of want to go with a little bit of breaking news about our dude Odyssey Jones here?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. We can do that.
Go ahead and kind of start like on a somber note, but yeah, Odyssey Jones, according to a lot of sources, is no longer listed as a superstar, I guess you would say, for WWE. It's on the websites and everything, supposedly due to domestic allegations.
Yeah, I mean, wild. I mean, not obviously you never expect to see something like that, but I mean, in WWE and in wrestling, it's a world where stuff can just kind of, not real life stuff, let me just make that clear, but like storylines and stuff can just go away like you never existed. And that's pretty much what happened here. I mean, people I know saw it on WWE's website where he pretty much wasn't a person, wasn't in the alumni section. You got people tweeting what happened to dude. Obviously, there's a lot more of a serious situation, but I mean, he was well in the middle of at least a somewhat decently big storyline. I think we both agreed we didn't really know where that was going to go, but it was going to go somewhere, and now it's gone and will never probably come back.
Yeah, and listen, I think it's very telling from the fact of, this has happened before with wrestlers, and it seemed like the WWE's kind of held on a little bit to wait to see how everything shakes out, right? Like whether it's, the police reports, whether it's like even like a trial and everything, just to kind of see if the party was guilty or not. I think it speaks volumes from the fact of, you've heard allegations on Twitter and everything, supposedly from his spouse, but the fact that they didn't even really wait to hesitate. So they may have done like their own investigation. Some things that we don't even know about Odyssey Jones may have come out, to like the corporate's knowledge.
Right.
But the fact that, for no rhyme, I mean, no announcement, just he's gone, and didn't want to wait and see, especially with a guy who's involved in a pretty intriguing storyline, which we didn't really know where it was going to go. I think it says everything that you need to know about Odyssey Jones and what has transpired. So
what a wild, like, I don't know if it's a rise and fall, because I don't really know if there was a rise, but we said it a couple of weeks ago, like, where did he come from? I don't know, but he was there. He's a massive human and was billed as this, like, game changer, let's put it. So I guess there was a bit of a rise. He's on TV. He's doing it with the New Day, who are, one of the best tag teams ever. And then, whoop, gone. Like, that's just, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, listen, this is just going to chalk it up to a waste opportunity, Kasey. Chalk it up to a man who just decided to throw his dream away. Because, yeah, we had no idea where the storyline was going, but all we knew is that it was probably going to be big and he was going to be featured for a while. And to go from that to obviously now, just vanishing. Once again, I think it says a lot with what happened, and we'll kind of stay tuned to more reports when they come out and news. Because, like, I'm not trying to report on rumors and things like that, but once again, for the last time, it does speak volumes, though, when the WWE decided, hey, let's get him off our roster. Let's not even wait and see how this process plays out.
Yeah, I would agree. And the WWE, it feels like, has done the right thing here. Obviously, if other stuff comes out, you can rehire somebody, but you have to make that decision in the moment what you're going to do when things start to swirl. And if they knew some things, then they did what they thought that they needed to do. So we'll see what happens with the New Day from here. The New Day, don't think they were in Berlin, though. Don't remember seeing them on the television.
No.
Out there in Berlin.
Kasey, thoughts on Berlin?
Dude, the crowd was unbelievable. Like, every single thing. And what's wild is, I feel like, outside of Dominic Mysterio, they still hate him in Germany, by the way. But it felt like everybody else, they were just happy to see him, which is not the same that you get in the United States that you won't get in some of these random cities. So it's like, when where that sticks out is when Randy Orton comes out, the place goes nuts. They're singing his song, and he's going up against their hero, because they're about to go nuts when Gunther comes out. Yeah. So just they were just into it on every single level. They never were quiet. They kept putting up the little decibel thing in the corner, and it was always skyrocketed. I thought it was incredible. What an environment.
Yeah, I mean, listen, these European shows have been top notch, and I mean, a couple things come from this. Number one, obviously, it spreads the brand on a global level. Number two, it elevates stars even more, just because it's like you saw that reaction that every superstar got, whether it was boos or cheers. And then number three, it almost makes you dread go like watching Raw and SmackDown from the U.S. again, because listen, these European fans are embarrassing. Like, they're almost like showing the U.S. fans up a little bit. And I get it. Like, maybe we take it for granted a little bit because we're treated to wrestling in our country from some state weekly. And, like, these European shows, it's every once in a blue moon they'll come through. But it just really makes you appreciate the sport as a whole, case when you have fans that just go absolutely ape, through this thing. And lo and behold, I mean, the first match tonight, Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes, I thought was a classic just because of that crowd. And it was an interesting storytelling session because you literally had two faces. And we kind of talked about the last week, like, how are you going to turn Kevin heel? What are you going to do with Kevin? How are you going to make him the bad guy? You're teasing it. Well, they don't do it. And I thought that match, I thought it was well done for what was at stake here. And this was two faces going head to head and not getting like really over each other, where, the heel can kind of like rise above. Like, it was just, I thought it was a great match.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was really good. I was, again, like you were, concerned about if there was going to be enough there, since nobody had really turned on anybody and it just seemed like they were friends. And I think that was a big part of it. Obviously, during the match, Kevin Owens clearly had opportunities to turn a little bit and do some of his old Kevin Owens work. Wade Barrett, not happy to see that he didn't do it. I was happy to see that he didn't do it, because at that point, when they kind of set that up towards the back end of the match, you may remember, if you didn't see, I know you saw it, but if you're listening, you didn't see it. They had the camera shot kind of where you could see that Kevin Owens could throw a little, I guess, cheap shot on Cody's knee. He decides not to do it. Again, outside the apron as well, decides not to do it. And I thought that was the right decision because there was no point to build anything else from there. It's over. It's not, you're not building anything else with this storyline. You need to keep these two together. That's what they did. I thought that part of it was great. Originally, I wasn't thrilled that it was going to open the show, but then I realized that it was the absolute right decision. Like, as the match was happening, because you knew it wasn't going to be the main event, obviously being in Germany, but I wasn't warm and cozy about it to open, but about halfway through, I was like, yeah, this was the right decision to lead off the show with this.
Yeah, and like, this wasn't a one-off to me, Kasey. And like, I think Cole kind of teased it a little bit where he was talking about, all right, now we're going to go with Rhodes and Solo next. And I just don't think this story's done yet. I think it comes down to now where it's like Kevin Owens maybe lost a little bit of his killer instinct. And maybe we're going to see that, come to fruition here maybe this Friday. I can see Cody bring him the ring and say, hey, it was a great match and everything. And then that's when Kevin turns heel. It's almost like this is going to be like a psychological storytelling session, I feel like, for the next couple months, because I still think there's a story here. Like, I could see him doing a one-off and being all right, Kevin Owens, go do something else, turn heel on somebody else, but I just don't think this story's done yet. I get Solo and Cody still have unfinished business, but I can see Kevin Owens hanging on a little longer.
It's interesting you say that. I would be kind of surprised to see them do that because you had the opportunities, but maybe they will. I will say this. I feel like we've said this actually about this match. We thought there would be more to it than it actually being Cody and Kevin. Well, it ended up being. And we're going to find out more on Friday. But we better not get Solo Cody again, just a regular old match, right? Like,
no,
we've seen it way too many times.
Of course, I think the next time you're gonna get both those guys, Casey, it's gonna be at Survivor Series, whether it's like the old school versus new school, some capacity like that, I would say.
Yeah, hopefully, because I hope they don't set this up again. We'll see what happens on Friday when they likely open the show with Cody Rhodes. But only time will tell. But I do think it was a great start in Berlin. Obviously, the crowd was fired up. And then you go to what was, I believe, the shortest match by time in the card, and that was the women's tag titles. Bianca and Jade end up getting the win over who were the current champs, Elba Fire, Elsa Dawn. What'd you think?
Man, overall, a pretty good showcase. If this match showed anything, it's that Bianca Belair might be the best worker in women's wrestling. I thought she really shined, Kasey, and she's always been a star, man. But it just seems like she's really upped her game now, working with Jade and everything. And Jade, obviously, she has the physique, she's got the look. She has just these feats of strength that just make you go, wow. Mm-hmm. But Bianca Belair, man, her ring work is so damn good, and I think the right decision was made here. There's only so much you can do with Elsa Dawn and Alba Fire. It was a short title run, it seems like, but I think this was the right decision. Put the belts on, two mega stars, I think, and just let them keep cooking.
Yeah, I agree. I will say this. There was a backstage thing. I can't remember if it was earlier in that show or last Friday. And then there was a couple of moments in the match where Bianca, she got swung around, I believe, and hits Cargill off out of the ring. Mm-hmm. And there was a couple of moments I was like, oh, they're turning on each other right here. Like, yeah. I don't know if you felt that, but that's how I was kind of feeling. And I was like, or maybe it's just, long-term storytelling. But there were a couple moments I was like, oh, they're about to flip them on each other mid tag team title match.
Well, and Barrett kind of alluded to the fact that, Jade's really green still, and she's still trying to learn a little bit. So, what I can see happening here, Kasey, and yeah, I definitely noticed that as well. I can see this tag team championship going for a little bit of a run, and Bianca's obviously just outworking Jade, and then that becomes an issue where it's I'm doing my part, you got to do your part. Jade gets pissed, turns on Bianca, and then that's how the feud kind of falls out a little bit, because there's a bunch of interesting things you could go with this story, but I think the main one is Bianca has been, the workhorse now in this company for how long? It seems like the past couple of years at least. Mm-hmm. And then you have Jade Cargill come in, who don't want to say they gave her every opportunity, because the girl can work as well. She's super talented, but they almost kind of ushered her in there. So Yeah, I can see. I mean, and the question is, who turns? Like, I think the obvious answer would be you have Jade turn, but does Bianca get fed up with how green and how new Jade is, and does Bianca, turn on Jade Cargill? So, interesting storyline down the line, but I still want to see these ladies, kind of have the belts a little bit and obviously put on some good matches.
Yeah, agreed, and I think they will do that. They will put on good matches. I'll say this, and we'll talk about it a little bit when we get to Raw. I think that Elba Fire and Elsa Dawn, one, I know they're growing on me. Two, I think they're like needed now. Like they continue, I feel like, to put on quality matches. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they're needing that right now in the women's tag division. Like, again, we'll get to Raw, but you've got Damage Control. You've got your girls over there at the Pure Fusion Collective, whatever.
Pure Fusion Collective. Change it. Change it.
And then you've got them, and it feels like there's a lot of work going around with those two. But I feel like these two, and Fire and Dawn, have been putting on good performances. Again, I think you made the right decision to have Bianca and Jade be your champs. But I hope these two don't get buried because I feel like they're doing good work right now.
No, and that's kind of the thing, Kasey, too. It's like, they had a little bit of a run, but there wasn't really a story behind that run.
Right.
They didn't get a lot of mic time. They would just kind of sit, at commentary or sit by the commentary desk and just kind of wave and everything and just kind of be those classic heels. But, like, when that was going on, they actually had matches. You saw them put on some pretty damn good work in the ring. I just wish the storytelling and just the building them up was the same out of the ring. And I just don't think it was. But, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I thought in terms of wrestling in ring, I thought they did a great job. And it kind of came out of nowhere, unsuspectingly. So I'm with you. I hope that they keep building them up a little more. They don't just bury them. And maybe it's with the Pure Fusion Collective, change it. But, no, just hopefully that they maintain some sort of relevancy because I think they've earned that.
I would agree, without a doubt. If you want to talk about storytelling, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre at an all-time. More of that on Raw we'll get to, but the match itself that I feel like we've been waiting for a good minute. I remember I was critical of Punk the last time that he had a match in a pay-per-view. I wasn't super sold and thrilled. I was super sold and thrilled here.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good.
Yeah, this was a great match. Obviously a violent match, bad blood. And that came through on the TV screen, and I think the crowd was all in as well. There's a few, because, I mean, obviously this is a strap match, right? So you can do a lot of things with it, but, there was definitely like a few things in terms of cleverness from CM Punk. What am I thinking of? Like when McIntyre tried to slide in the ring, then pull on the strap, and then he dove like face first into like the steel chair because Punk set it up or whatever. Like, I thought that was a really cool spot. Like doing the sharpshooter, that was a nice touch. Like overall, a violent, gruesome, and bloody match. And then, Punk gets his just due, gets the bracelet back. And honestly, we'll obviously talk about this later when we talk about Raw, but I didn't foresee a grudge match really. Like I thought, like, okay, like that was a very physical match. It delivered. It was worth the hype. Now what's the next plan? But obviously they have unfinished business.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, again, we will get to Raw. The match itself, again, a lot of violence, which I think is the overall theme with these two the last couple months and still continues on. I wanted to ask you this about Cody, but I forgot, and I'll bring it up here. So the way that this match ends is CM Punk hits him 3 times with a GTS, but not in succession, like technically in succession, but he didn't straight hit 3 and 3. He hit the corners and then hits the last corner. And to me, I was like, yeah, this means something. And it goes back to Cody, where I feel like Cody has to hit crossroads. Like he's hitting 3 or 4 in a row just to put somebody out. And it goes back to WrestleMania. And I saw a lot of this on Twitter. What are your thoughts on like the idea that 1 is not good enough for Cody's finisher? And really at this point, we're at 2 isn't good enough to put anybody away.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, crossroads, which is cool, but it's irrelevant if he's not hitting 3 of them.
Listen, it's a really great point, Kasey, and it's all about the finisher. right? Because like we think of some finishers, like for instance, we think of Randy Orton's punt, like when his heel. Like if you get punted by Randy Orton, guess what? You're gonna be out for a year. Like it's one of those things. You think of like an AEW Kenny Omega, like no one's ever kicked out of the one wing main, and it's one of those things where if you flirt with it and you, for instance, with Cody, when you throw that crossroads, and it used to be just one crossroads, you're done. Well, then Roman Reigns took 3 of them, and now it's like, okay, well then where's the bar? Is it like main events of big pay-per-views? We got to go 2, we got to go 3, we got to go 4, because the whole point of a finisher is you hit it, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a while, maybe they kick out, you get a giant shocking pop. But now it almost feels like, and I agree with you, Kasey, whether it's the GTS, whether it's the crossroads, where if you're in a big time match with a big time crowd, the first one that's hit, it's like, oh no, that's not going to do anything. I mean, like they're going to kick out of it, and I don't want to say it cheapens it a little bit, but then it really does make you appreciate, the superstars that do have that finisher where it's one, you're done. I mean, a curb stomp was legit until Bray Wyatt, may rest in peace, kicked out of it like 20 times when Seth Rollins in with 20 curb stomps,
mm-hmm.
and he kept standing back up. I think he was the fiend in that, but you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you, man. They have to be careful with how you do the finisher, because once you do it more than once, people remember that.
Yeah, and it feels like, I mean, Cody's the prime example. I just feel like because he keeps doing it, but it feels like for the most part, everybody's kicking out of finishers at this point. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you think about Priest, I feel like he hasn't successfully hit a finisher on the first try in a while. Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like you've got everybody kicking out of him right now. And again, there is still a pop, but like the Cody thing is just getting out of hand. Like, if you were only going to do it with Roman, then cool. Because that dude was the champion for years, and you had to kill him, right? But then you can't tell me that Solo's got to hit. You got to hit 2 of them on Solo. You got to hit 3 of them on Kevin Owens. Which, by the way, you could convince me in theory that Kevin Owens needs a couple because Kevin Owens has been in some battles, right? But
Sure.
then if you go and do it to Austin Theory on a Friday night, you have to hit 2, maybe 3 of them. I'm like, dude, I'm out. I'm not sold on this. So,
Yeah.
I feel like that part I didn't like, but in terms of how Punk did it, I thought obviously it's a different match. It's a whole different situation, and he hates Drew McIntyre, right? So the first one I was like, cool. The second one I was like, he might be good here. But the third one was, I think he'd already hit a corner and was going to the last one. So I feel like he's like,
But
I don't have to do this. I'm going to kill you.
Well, of course, and this is kind of where the story comes into play a little bit. I mean, who knows? Maybe Punk could have had him at 1. But you got the sense that Punk was kind of enraged, and instead of focusing on winning the match, it was more about like brutalizing Drew McIntyre. So like, I'll still give him the benefit of the doubt for that. Now with Cody Rhodes, no, I mean, we've seen 2 crossroads, we've seen 3 crossroads. Like, that's just what it is. I agree with you, Kasey. I just think it was more of CM Punk wanted to inflict that brutality on Drew McIntyre over a bracelet, by the way.
Over a bracelet, which we'll get to when we talk about Raw. 2 more matches on this card in Berlin. Very small card, which I do think worked out for them. You didn't have a whole lot of things. You didn't need to fill time or anything.
No,
you had some
makes
good
our
stuff.
show a lot easier, too.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you had Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, the Terror Twins, which questionable on the name, and then against Dom and Liv. They finally actually did some wrestling, which was cool. Like, I feel like the way that, and I've been critical of this, the way that the story has been set up, Liv Morgan would rather be anywhere but near Rhea Ripley when she's conscious and ready to fight, which I don't love. I understand that's part of the story, but I'm excited. I was excited to watch her actually wrestle because she is a good wrestler, as is Rhea Ripley, and you can put on a show there. I think you got a lot of what people wanted, and that was Rhea Ripley getting after Dom a little bit. You weren't sure how much that you were going to get. You definitely got some in the match.
Mm-hmm. Head scissors and all.
Yeah, it was that part was really good. Dominic Mysterio, who, again, I really feel like you can forget is a good wrestler. But when he has his moments and actually wrestles, he's pretty damn good. I thought overall it was quality. You didn't have a lot of kind of crap that I thought you were going to have. Of course, you had a little bit. But, I mean, overall, I thought it was a good match.
No, I thought it was a great match for a couple of different reasons. Like, number one, obviously, Dom getting, the treatment, nuclear heat, if you will, but then also showcased his good skill set in the ring. But to me, I mean, And listen, I'm kind of with you on the name. You know, like I'm not the most crazy about the Terror Twins. No, I'm not ready to say change it like the Pure Fusion Collective, but it goes to show you though with with Rhea Ripley here and Priest that they could be something.
Yes.
You know, like they're stars. They have the look, they have the size. Like I think they're going to print money with these two. And Rhea Ripley, I mean, her reaction when she came out, I mean, that was everything. And then it might have been one of the loudest pops of the night when she put down in like the head scissors or whatever. Girl's a star, man. You know, and it's interesting because at what point do you go? And I get it. Right now, you still have to tell the story, finishing up the Judgment Day. But at what point do you just let her do her own thing, you know, and be a star? But I get it because the title's still in front of her, right? There's still Judgment Day stuff to get through. So yeah, team her up with Damian Priest, see what happens. Obviously, you kind of get the vibe that Jey Uso might come back in the picture here in some capacity, because they're still outnumbered, nevertheless, with the Judgment Day. So something to keep an eye on. But yeah, when we talk about the Bash at Berlin, definitely a great match.
I wonder, I don't disagree with you in terms of Rhea because she can pretty much do whatever she wants. And I think we both agree she doesn't need the title. But at the same time, what else can she do right now? Like, let's say they do move away from this, and again, they're not there yet. But like,
no,
there's nobody else on the roster putting her in a feud with that, in my opinion, does anything for her, right? Like, am I wrong there?
With all due respect to the roster, Kasey, I feel like no one could keep up with Rhea Ripley besides Liv Morgan because there's actually a story there.
Right.
But like, if you look at the other women on the roster right now, no. Like, I don't think you could take really anybody and be like, okay, this would be a good matchup. No, I just think Rhea Ripley's that big of a star. So yeah, let her keep feuding with Liv Morgan, finish that story, let her become the champion again, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I said it a couple weeks ago. The Rhea Ripley problem is they've got no one to go against her right now. And there was some stuff on Twitter that Charlotte Flair may or may not be close to returning. But it sounds like she's going to return to SmackDown when she comes back, if you believe what's on the internet. That might be a mistake because could you imagine the pop if Rhea's out there and here comes Charlotte and nobody sees it coming?
I mean, that, and also keep in mind, we still have Tiffany Stratton on the SmackDown roster as well. So do you really need a Tiffany Stratton and a Charlotte Flair on the same roster, Kasey? I think not.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. The show closes out in Berlin, obviously with the World Heavyweight Championship match, Randy Orton and Gunther. And again, I'll say it from the top, man. Those people were into it when Randy Orton came out. By the way, incredible camera shot. You just kind of walked with him down to the ring, which was dope. The place is going nuts.
8K, that was pretty cool.
Dude, it was a great shot. It was unbelievable. They're singing his entrance music. He's fired up. You can't really tell because he always has that same stoic look. Ready to go. And he's got the crowd on his side. And then Gunther's music hits. And forget Randy Orton. This is our hero.
Yeah.
And here comes Gunther, man. It was just the entrances alone were fantastic because of the crowd.
Listen, and quite possibly my favorite moment of this entire pay-per-view.
I know what you're gonna say.
Was when Ludwig Kaiser out of nowhere sticks his hand in the camera.
What a shot, though, huh?
Oh, I mean, epic. And obviously announces Germany's champion, but it was also cool from the like. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but like, you could tell how proud Gunther was. And he was trying to hold back a giant smile. But even it kind of, he's a great actor. But even he kind of got a big smile just because he was so pumped the reaction that Kaiser was getting to in Germany. So, I mean, that was my favorite moment.
I agree.
It was cool to see him kind of get his just due a little bit. And it was also kind of cool. Wasn't supposed to happen, but it was cool to kind of see a more of a human element side with Gunther as well.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, I didn't see that coming, obviously still in the setup, and then his hand just kind of pops in there. It actually, what WWE was doing reminded me of Brent Martineau when you guys are at Furniture Source, just the shots for the show that pop up, and I'm like, damn, I didn't even know he was standing there. They took one out of Brent's book for that one, because it was awesome. I've watched it 6 or 7 times, replayed on Twitter, because I think it's really cool, and I agree with you that it's a moment that, is hard to get in wrestling. that was real life for those two. Like, they've been in the trenches,
Correct.
they've been together, they're in Germany, and like everybody was on the same page. So I think it's a super, super rare thing to get in wrestling, and you got it, and it was dope. And then the match itself was, again,
amazing,
delivered. Fantastic. It was like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
They just kept going at it. You had a pause early on when Randy Orton started doing the wave with the fans, which I didn't see coming. I mean,
and
it was just good.
Gunther was not having it either.
No, he was not.
He was not about that wave life.
He was
No,
not, which I,
but-
thought maybe give him a little bit, but no, nothing.
Yeah. Really enjoyed Orton kind of dropping the F-bomb, screaming it when he got slapped a little bit, really selling just how hard Gunther hits. And this was a great match just because this cemented Gunther as an unstoppable force, right? Like, we always think of Randy Orton as this physical specimen, this devious, cunning, just mauler of a wrestler. And you saw, and they mentioned this on Monday too, but you saw Gunther take his best shots and then get even better shots, so like, it wasn't a lot of like foul play per se. It showcased just how good Gunther is going to be and how dominant Gunther is going to be as well.
Agreed. I think Randy Orton played his role fantastically. I think now you can do a ton of different things with him, whatever you choose. Obviously, Gunther has a path that we'll talk about here in a second. I will ask you this, though. As someone who's in the UFC, and I understand what we're watching, right? We're watching wrestling. But the one thing that I've never loved is if you just go, the finisher being the submission. I've never loved it. It's never been, I just haven't loved it. And then, again, you bring the UFC part in it, like, if you watch UFC, you know that nobody's sitting in that chokehold. Like, you're just not doing it. So anyway, your overall thoughts on Gunther's is obviously it's cool and he's now tapped out a lot of people, but you watching it when you see the submission spot, are you just like, I don't know about this?
So, see, Kasey, it's a great point, and it all depends, right? Like, I think with Gunther, I'm cool with it because it's almost like and this isn't really for me. This is more for, like, the diehard, maybe younger wrestling fan. But I get what they're doing here. They're taking this ultimate behemoth of a heel, and they're saying, all right, you're cheering for this guy. You're cheering for Randy Orton. All he's done, this 14-time or 13-time champion. Watch me choke him out. Watch me tap him, or watch me make him pass out.
Sure.
There's nothing you can do about it. Like, to me, it's more like it lingers with you more as opposed to just like a power bomb where you get the 1, 2, 3. Like, to me, it adds a little something special. Then this is more of a heel thing. Like, keep in mind this. It adds a little something special for a heel where it's like, all right, this heel just made your favorite wrestler pass out unconscious or tap out. Like, there's something to be said for that. Now, go back to Ronda Rousey when she was doing her thing.
Sure.
Did I like the armbar? Not really, because
No.
I'm someone who obviously I've been in many armbars before, and I know the proper defense to getting out of it. And yeah, obviously the women that were put in it didn't know anything of how to get out of it. Yeah, the rear naked choke, like, you'd be fighting, you'd be trying to control the legs a little bit, all that stuff. But I do like the lasting impression that it can give you if your favorite wrestler gets choked unconscious.
Well, it's interesting you bring up Ronda there, because originally when she first came to WWE, when she put somebody in the armbar, they tapped immediately. And I was like, this is actually the perfect way to sell it because this is what happened in real life. But then as you started to get deeper into it, people would just sit in it. And I'm like, no, she's breaking your arm. Like, I don't know. It's always just been, especially her.
It's kind of like the Becky Lynch thing too, Kasey.
Yes.
It's kind of like the disarm her, where it's like, all right, you're just gonna let her do that? Cool, sounds good.
Yeah, like, I don't know, the whole submission spot for anybody, like, it's a, it goes by different performers and wrestlers, and you can say what you want about each one, but I don't know, I don't love it. And then what you had Punk earlier having Drew basically tapping. Obviously, it's a strap match, can't do it. But I'm like, okay, if it's a regular match, Drew ain't tapping here. Like, I don't know. It's just it's the one thing that I dislike the most. But I appreciate it when you're committed to it's not a bit, but when you're committed to the bit, if you will. That's Gunther's whole thing. You know what I mean? So he's committed, so I'm with it. But I don't know. It's always been. questionable to me. Let's just stay here. We'll do the break after we talk Raw. No need to cover SmackDown because the pay-per-view kind of ended that, and then you move on to Raw, which I don't know where it was. Do you?
It was in Denver, if I'm not mistaken.
Denver, you're right. That's a great call. Denver, by the way, a real city. People are actually there. It's not, November, December yet, so I assume the weather actually in Denver right now is probably peak. I don't know. Never been.
No, for sure, but keep in mind, Casey, there's still elevation there too, so people have to adjust to that a little bit if you're new to Denver.
Oh,
so that the elevation's not ideal. But yes, a very beautiful city in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about elevation. I can't really speak on it, but apparently it's a real deal, according to Austen Lane. They open up the show on Raw with your newest commentary team on Monday Night Raw, Wade Barrett, who I have been a big fan of. I think he's done good work. I'm glad he's still involved. And Joe Tessitore. Austin, your thoughts?
So I owe Joe Tessitore an apology, Casey.
I do too.
Because I was skeptical, right? You're
I.
bringing this NFL guy, this football guy over to something that I love in professional wrestling, and I'm supposed to just be cool with this, and he's going to add something special to it. Did not buy into the hype. Within the first 10 minutes of his announcing prowess, I'm like, I'm an idiot. The guy's got skills, and it's almost like he I don't know. It's hard to. It's hard to kind of put into words like why I like it so much, but it's almost like it reminds me like when I listen to I like Tony Romo, right? Because Tony Romo, it's almost like I'm watching with Tony Romo, and it's like you're watching a guy, like we're in a bar having a beer, and that's what Tony Romo is. Joe Tessitore is obviously a professional and knows what he's doing, but it's almost like he's still watching. I'm watching with him, like he gets shocked over like the craziest things, and like he gets like the energy levels just constantly there. So I thought the WWE hit an absolute home run with this signing, and I was skeptical, and I owe everybody an apology because I thought Joe Tessitore brought it, Casey, for his first. Keep in mind his first running too with Raw.
I know, right? Fresh off of being in Gainesville, Florida, calling the Florida Gators Miami Hurricanes debacle if you're a Gator fan, celebration if you're a Hurricane fan, and flew out to Denver and did this. And I agree with you, man. I was not in favor of this. I was a fan of what Corey Graves was doing on play-by-play with Wade Barrett. Clearly, they were not. They bring in Tessitore, and I was like, here we go. And I agree with you, man. It was good. And I think the two things about it that I liked the most were there were multiple times throughout the night where I truly believe Joe Tessitore was shocked at what he was seeing. He may or may not have been, but there were a couple times he was like, whoa! And I was like, dude, I believe he actually is shocked about the spot that he just saw. And go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry, man, go ahead.
I was just going to say that part made it feel like, I don't know if human's the right word, but like that was like a true, honest, like I feel like a couple times he's like, there she goes. I was like, all right, I like that part of it.
I have never heard somebody so disgusted, so just acting foul as when Drew McIntyre put the beads down CM Punk's throat. Just dude, I've literally listened to that. I've listened to Joe Tessitore call that now at least 20 times. And I've laughed, but I've also just been enthralled with it every single time because literally, and he's taking the beads and he's shoving them down Punk's throat. It's just like he's so disgusted. Right? And it adds to it. You know what I'm saying? It adds to the moment. It puts on a new echelon, and he's doing a great job with it. So I'm all for Joe Tessitore.
I agree. I definitely agree with that, and I think there was to your point there, like he was well aware, not that he wasn't prepared, don't get me wrong, but he's well aware of everything he understood when he got there how much those two hate each other, right, in terms of Punk and McIntyre. Like, it's like they didn't miss a beat. It's like he had been, and I'm sure he has been, but it's like he had been talking about it for months and was just right in there. Again, there was some shock moments that I thought were cool, but the other part of it to me felt like they were, I don't know, maybe it's just because his voice, but even with like some of the shots they're doing now with like the walk-ins, which obviously that they're trying to do that with Tessitore, and then putting up like a couple times during the show, like all of the commentators you had, including Jackie Redmond, who was in the back. And I felt like they were trying to make it feel like big fight feel is basically what I felt like they were going for. And there were a couple times, and we'll, see what this looks like when they get a big fight. I felt like they enhanced that part of it, which is I feel like what they've been going for months. So
No,
overall,
Casey, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I mean it's a big fight feel. It's a big fight feel, or almost just like a professional sports kind of feel. Like we're seeing the entrances now of these wrestlers walking to the arena, dressed up or whatever. Like this is what you see in NBA games. This is what you see in NFL games. So it's starting to mirror a little more. I feel like whether it's a big fight or professional sports, where they're trying to add like another element to it, and I'm not upset with it. Like if you would have told me this, 4 or 5 months ago, I would have been obviously questioning it. But now that I've seen it in person, I think it's really good. I think it's easily digestible. And I think it's different from the point of if you're a big wrestling fan like I've always been, I'm still on board. And maybe this can attract new wrestling fans now with a different look. That's like, oh, this looks different. I want to check this out a little bit, see who these wrestlers are. And now all of a sudden you start to grow your audience a little bit. So whether it's Triple H calling the shots or whoever it is, but it's definitely noticeable, and I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think they, in 1 week sample size, have hit a home run. We'll see where it goes from here. The actual show, after they introduced Joe Tessitore, starts with one half of the Terror Twins, Terror Solo, if you will, on the female side, Rhea Ripley. And just as exactly how no one saw coming, Dom and Liv get involved. Shocker.
Yep, and the foot gets caught in the ropes a little bit for Rhea Ripley there.
Yeah, that I definitely don't think that was supposed to happen. I'll put it that way because I don't think you can plan for something like that. But yeah, Rhea's out there talking. Here they come. She's going through the ropes, gets a little caught, and then Liv just attacking the knee. Dom watching, little kiss on the cheek, I do believe, from Liv Morgan as well to Rhea Ripley.
Yep.
So if there were questions on what's going to happen now with these two, it feels like we're still very much beefing here on September 4th, those two.
Oh, yeah, there's still a lot of unfinished business. This was a giant setup. You're not just going to end it with a little show in Berlin. You got to keep this through a little more. There's got to be a couple more wrinkles added. So, yeah, I think go and strap in for this one, Casey, because it's going to be, it's going to be the Terror Twins first at Judgment Day for a while, I feel like.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate, but I guess we'll do what has to be
as
done.
long as we keep seeing them in the ring and not so much of the TV mature with the making out and everything and the grinding, because my son asked me about it and I don't want to have those conversations. He's 9 years old, so
yeah, that that's probably something. But when they go to Netflix, all rules are off. First match.
Speaking of sons, Casey, but real quick, the fans want to know. We didn't even tease the most important part.
Yeah. I still don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually, I should have answers for you next Wednesday.
Okay.
If you missed it last week, I had a doctor's appointment that that I had to do some testing. With some ways you would have a son or a daughter potentially.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we'll put it that way. So, don't know the results yet, but I'll know next week, and hopefully on Wednesday I'll have a full report for you.
This is going to be the long, drawn-out story, man. I appreciate it. Building the storyline.
Dude, I'm telling this story. I'm WWE, and I'm not AEW yet. I got the answers for you. This thing's dragging out at least 3 weeks.
There's no rhyme or reason. If this was AEW, you just would have said, yes, I went to the clinic and I found this out. You got to build it up a little more. Slow burn that bad boy.
That's what I'm going to do. That's definitely what I'm going to do. American-made Alpha Academy. Basically, Chad Gable's old against Chad Gable's new. Cool. I will say shout out to Maxine Dupree, who I feel like continues to get better.
Yeah. And once again, Joe Tessitore really put her on a pedestal, I thought, as well. It was a good call. So, yeah, I thought Maxine Dupree shined here. Obviously, the Otis hot tag, anytime that guy gets in the ring, cool things happen. I like the Caterpillar. I like Maxine doing the reverse Caterpillar. And a nice little touch. American Made defeats Alpha Academy, and then obviously, probably the biggest part would be when the Wyatt Six come out to say what's up as well.
Yeah, that's definitely the long-term storytelling here. These two will probably beef. We'll probably get some solos matches between these two for the next month. But you're gonna get the Wyatt Six, and you're gonna get Chad Gable's new unit, and they're gonna go at it. I believe next week is what we're looking like there. Anytime you see Uncle Howdy, I'm not mad at it. So. We'll see what that looks like in ring, but I don't again, I said this last week, like, if the Wyatt Six win again, then what? Like, I feel like Chad Gable and the boys have to pull this one out because right now the score is 1-0. Chad Gable ain't won in months.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But you have to wonder, like, how are they going to make them win? Or, like, do they – I don't know. There
You can't really can't, like, cheap shot them, basically. Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, like, the only thing I can think of is if Chad Gable calls out, like, Bo Dallas for a match.
That's what I'm thinking.
And then Bo Dallas gets his ass kicked, like, absolutely gets his ass kicked.
But
Like,
just laughs the whole time?
Yeah, just like it's kind of like a giant squash match, if you will. Like that could add an interesting wrinkle to it. I don't know.
That's like the only thing we've seen because we saw Bo Dallas get somewhat obliterated for like 5 minutes and he just laughed it off. He then ends up being the one that stands tall though. So I don't know. I wonder how many times, because at some point I would assume over the next rest of life that the Wyatt Six will lose. So yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see how that plays out. Shayna Baszler from the Pure Fusion Collective, I believe.
Change it.
Going one-on-one with Selena Vega. Sure. I will say this, Sonya Deville, I said it, your best spot, no offense to you, is on the mic. And she hit you with a good line. So
that was good. Getting that heel heat. I wasn't mad at Sonya for that.
Yeah, I mean it was.
Yeah, what would you say? There's not a man in this building
that could take us home.
Who can take us home? There's not a woman who can take us. Period. Like, it's pretty good.
Good line, quality line. I mean, again,
I'm not mad at it.
You got more of what you've been getting the last couple weeks. This time, just in a solo version with Selena Vega. It is what it is. We move on. So here's the thing, and we talked about it, Drew and Punk. I thought it was over. I truly thought it was over. I was like, all right, Punk did it. He got the bracelet. Everything's cool. Here comes Drew McIntyre confusing nobody with the hoodie. Nobody thought it was anybody other than Drew McIntyre.
Which was 5 sizes too small, by the way, Drew.
Yeah, just did not fit. He grabbed one from...
That was a dry fit.
Yeah, I don't even know who he got one from in the back. Probably Finn Balor. I mean, the way that it looked. I mean, holy cow.
That was a Dolph Ziggler hoodie, right?
That's a good call.
He's not in WWE anymore, but that was a Dolph Ziggler special.
That is a very good call. And then it kills him. Like, I didn't see this coming, but like this is kind of the last. Actually, it's not the last scene, but this is basically the last standing thought on CM Punk. I mean, he's dead.
Kasey, he shoved the beads down Punk's throat.
Down his throat. He went for the eye as well, like the eyes as well.
The eye gouge, straight like Game of Thrones.
Dude, it's question.
You can kind of tell where this is gonna go here. CM Punk has the Larry the Dog shirt now. You're gonna see the dog get involved. We're gonna be talking about a home invasion storyline with Drew McIntyre breaking into CM Punk's home and stealing Larry, I think.
Dude, it feels like it. And I will say this, if you're watching the stream, you can see in the right of this picture, Adam Pearce. And I will say there's not a unsafe work environment like the one Adam Pearce is running, bro. If you work under Adam, you are going to be attacked at some point. You may be forced to eat beads off a bracelet. You may get your eyes gouged out. Like, Adam Pearce, bro, get it together. What are you doing over there?
Dude is so stressed too, constantly. Get his ass out of here. Get his ass out of here.
He's never ready.
Hey, Adam, when are we going to start handing down year suspensions?
You know what I'm saying?
You're gone for the week.
Yeah, I mean, just, dude, Adam Pearce, do something, because nobody is safe at work at Raw. Like, there's not one person that's safe there at any given time. But, yeah, I mean, I will say this, in terms of how this has gone, this has been extremely violent. Not just on, like, the pay-per-views. Like, that was pretty violent, what they put together on Raw there. And they've done an unbelievable job of selling how personal this is. Like, I genuinely believe these two dudes hate each other.
And this is all going to set up too, because this is going to be the third match, the grudge match. You can't do this a regular wrestling match. This will be Hell in the Cell. Guarantee it. This will be a cage match. It has to be. What else? I mean, you could do it maybe like a last man standing match, which could be intriguing, but no, man. lock these two in a cage, maybe have like Larry the dog hang over the cage and the winner gets Larry, something like that. I don't know, man. But
it's Money in the Bank with the dog.
Listen, like you think that's crazy. But keep in mind, this whole thing has been about a bracelet.
No, I know.
Okay?
I was very critical of the bracelet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and I find it funny too that the fact that he's called himself Taylor Swift for men.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the whole bracelet thing is a Taylor Swift thing.
Yes.
So like, it's funny how Taylor Swift has kind of ingrained herself now in the storyline as well.
That's actually a good point. That's definitely a good point. By the way, this is the Scrap House on Action Sports Jacks 24/7. Here's the deal, Austin. We've got 5 minutes left in show. We have a 5-minute break. It's 10 minutes till the top of the hour. We're going to do a strong 5 minutes here. We're going to end with the break, and then we'll talk next week. So as we now try to fly through the rest of this and AEW, the wrong person won this match. By the way, shout out to Ilya Dragunov, who actually did win. Dragon Lee and then Dom Mysterio in the IC qualifier. This was Dragon Lee's match to win. Big Dragon Lee guy. Yeah. And here's the thing. Dom gets chased out of the match. Okay, nobody didn't see that one coming. Dragon Lee hit like 3 spots in a row that should have been the end of the match. It doesn't end. He gets up. Dragunov hits like an elbow of some sort and then pins him 1, 2, 3. I was like, dude, are you serious? You're not getting up?
Dude, I don't know. The ending left a lot to be desired. I will agree with you with that. But you know how I feel about Dragunov, man. I like the look. I like the style. I like the power. I was happy to see him win. Wish it would have ended a little differently, though.
Yeah, I didn't like it because I'm a Dragon League guy, but we'll see what they do down the road. We talked about it a little bit. Fire and Dawn get the win over Damage Control. I know you're a Damage Control guy. We had another bloody eye after that match as well.
Is Kairi Sane okay?
That's a good question. Did
she actually lose her eye?
Dude, it looked questionable.
Like her eye was missing.
Dude, it did not look good. It did not look good.
But also kind of badass. But sorry.
No, yeah, no doubt. But dude, I was like, dude, this is a violent show they're putting together tonight. Holy cow.
Yes.
Sami Zayn comes out to challenge Gunther. I guess I understand. Yeah, sure, he's the only guy to beat him. Okay, fine. I just wonder what the long-term story is going to be with Gunther, that they're eventually going to build for 2-3 months.
I don't think there's going to be a long-term story.
No, this ain't it.
I think it's going to be a one and done. I think it's going to be a one and done. And then you get Sami Zayn ready with the, like the old school bloodline versus new school bloodline.
Agreed. I guess what I mean by that is like, who is it going to be the long term with Gunther? Because now you're punting 2 months in a row.
True.
So like, what are you waiting for? What are you setting up?
I mean, someone's got to come make a stake for it, Kasey. And I can't really name one guy right now that can seriously. I mean, maybe Seth Rollins eventually would be the one.
Maybe. Possibly. I mean, that could make some sense, but it feels like another punt for long-term storytelling on Gunther. But Sami Zayn will give him a good match. We'll see how that develops and if that actually does happen. Braun Strowman wasn't supposed to be in this match. Bronson Reed, the human killer, ends up with COVID-19, and Braun Strowman ends up getting the win over Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser. Ludwig Kaiser probably should have been the winner here. The only thing I think this means is, this might be too obvious, but Bronson Reed was supposed to win this match, and they just didn't pivot.
No, I'm with you for sure. They've been building Bronson Reed for a while now. Obviously, he couldn't compete. So, yeah, I agree with you, Kasey. I think they just pivoted, and we'll see where this goes now.
Jey Uso, Damian Priest get the win over Finn and JD. Jey Uso very much in the Rhea Ripley conversation, it feels like right now.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like a storyline I didn't really see happening, but we keep seeing teasing of it where Jey Uso's going to get with Rhea Ripley, I guess. More power to you. Got that yeet movement, if you will. Yeah, I mean, not too much until I kind of see it unfold a little more, but surprising.
Yeah, it is surprising, and that was the main event. Oh, boy. 50 seconds in the show. Ricochet was on AEW. It was great. Mariah May came out. Holy cow. And then this happened. It looks like it's going to be Jack Perry, Bryan Danielson, I guess. I know you're not happy.
Change it.
Don't like it.
Change it, Kasey.
Not happy at all.
Come on, man. What are we doing? Do you like it?
I don't hate it, but I like Jack Perry.
I know. I mean, sure. Why not? I guess it's hard for me to take Jack Perry seriously, man. I'm happy with Bryan Danielson. I hope he gets a long run. I'm just not a big Jack Perry guy, but maybe who knows? Maybe this dude can make me turn my hate around a little bit, Kasey. So we'll see. Yeah, we are going to see. We're out of time. We did it, and we'll talk to you next week. Keep doing it from Vegas, Austin. As you say, stay cool, stay casual. I got to hit the break. We got to go. Have a good week, everybody.
It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville.
It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air.
It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com.
Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. boldcityac.com, and they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs.
Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Building off a summer of terrific action at Southern Oaks Stadium, the Jacksonville Armada are looking forward to the future and the return of pro soccer in Northeast Florida. Season ticket reservations for MLS Next Pro are underway, and for just $100, you can lock in some great benefits when it comes to supporting the boys in blue. Those who make a reservation will have first selection options in the new Armada Stadium out east, near Jacksonville's downtown sporting complex, as well as access to supporter VIP events like stadium tours, open training sessions, and future meet and greets with players and coaches. You can make your season ticket reservations at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket. And while you're there, read the very latest on the Armada men's and women's teams in action this summer. Show your commitment to the fleet with an MLS Next Pro season ticket reservation at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
When I say it means something to me, gentlemen, it means something to me.
High school football is back and it's bigger than ever. Welcome to the Friday Night Zone Blitz.
It is bigger than a game.
Watch the biggest games each week live as the action unfolds with instant reaction and analysis from our Hall of Famer, Kevin Sullivan. It starts with live look-ins at the top matchups, including our Jaguars Prep Whataburger Game of the Week, and that is just the beginning of 4 straight hours of coverage. From 8 to 10:30, the Friday Night Zone Blitz is streaming on our Action News Jax app and online. At 10:30, the Friday Night Blitz you know and love. A half hour of highlights from around the area. 11 o'clock, we shine the spotlight on the bands that pump up the crowd. 11:15, it's time to blitz through the highlights online and on air. Then 11:35, back to the stream to break down the night's results with a reaction from local coaches. 4 straight hours of high school football on the Friday Night Zone Blitz. Only on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence.
You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.